Okay, so I haven't gotten to watch this yet, and I figured that I would go ahead and do a live reaction, even though this is not live when you guys will be getting this. But it is my complete live reaction, all in the same. It will be my first initial reaction because I have not had the chance to watch this yet. So here we go, Raider Nation. Press conference. We just announced Klint Kubiak as our new head coach.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming on a special day for this organization. I want to thank all the great Raiders sitting up here with me right now. It's an honor to share this stage with them, and we really appreciate. I know Mark really appreciates, and it really means a lot to him that they made the effort to come here today. And I think this is a unique. It needs to be acknowledged that this is a uniquely Raider thing. I mean, this.
Have you guys noticed one thing? Mark Davis is not up on the platform.
This is what makes this place special. So I appreciate all you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come up here. I want to thank Mark Davis for entrusting me to lead this process to find our next head coach here with the support of Egon, Mike, Tom Brady. I'm really proud of the process that we put in place. We set out to take our time, to be deliberate, to be meticulous, to find the right leader for this organization going forward. We have a uniquely challenging offseason with the first overall pick and new leadership at the head coach, but that's why it was so important to us to find the right man to lead this organization forward. And we interviewed 22, we had 22 interviews, 15 different really quality people that we talked to. They were awesome to talk to. We learned a ton, bunch of great humans, a bunch of great coaches, but ultimately that led us to Coach Klint Kubiak to be the next leader. We had to be patient. We had to let him go win a Super Bowl, which we were more than willing to do. So we're super proud of him for accomplishing that. And you know, he stood out with his leadership, with his humility, with his work ethic, with his intelligence. We called many people around the league and got glowing reviews on him too. So it made it a difficult but easy decision for us. And I'm really proud to welcome him to Raider Nation as a partner. There's got a lot of great things ahead. He can't wait to get to work. We have told him that he is going to go celebrate his Super Bowl tomorrow, so he's going to take a one-day hiatus here and go be in a parade, but he'll be back ready to work Thursday. So with that, I want to thank again the ownership group for entrusting me with this, and I want to welcome Klint Kubiak as our next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
I mean, don't you guys find it kind of odd that Mark is not up on the platform? Like, to me, that speaks volumes. That he's actually going to stay out of football operations and actually let the general manager and our new head coach do their job. I think this is promising. I actually like the way this looks.
Morning, everybody. Really excited to be here. Just want to first off and just want to thank God for the opportunity to sit in front of you guys today. You know, God had a plan for this day that I could never have seen, and I'm just grateful. I want to thank the ownership group. I want to thank Mark. Okay, I want to thank Tom, Egon, Michael. I'm just so grateful for you guys giving me a chance to get to know me better, and you know, to give me a chance to come be a part of leading this franchise. You know, I like to think, you know, all the players that are here, current and former. It means a lot to me to be surrounded by these great Raiders, and I know that Mr. Davis takes care of his own better than anybody in the league. So, you know, that's evident. You know, that's the reputation that this building has, and that's something that I want to definitely continue to do, is to welcome the old Raiders, and you know, to make sure that our players feel supported by them. I want to make sure that I thank my family. Where are you guys at? Right in front. All right. Hey, what's up? My wife Tessa, Sawyer, Lane, Case, William. Just very grateful for your support. You know, we've moved a lot, guys, and it means the world to me that you guys have supported me and have stuck with me, and we've got a lot closer through all these trials and tribulations. But like I said first, I think I think there was a master plan behind all this that none of us could have known. So thank you guys for being here. I want to thank my mom and dad. I want to thank Tessa's mom and dad, Kathy Nelson, and her late father, Bill, who I know is watching up in heaven today, and Tessa's brother, Drew, and all their support.
You better thank everybody you possibly can, because if you don't do your job here, it's already been shown Mark will not tolerate it, and you will be out of here within your first year.
I want to thank John Spytek for giving me this opportunity. I know there's a lot of candidates out there, and I know they went through and did their homework, and just spending time with John, I know how important it is for us to have a really great relationship, and just getting to know him a little bit better. I'm really excited about how we're going to communicate and how we're going to lead this building together. I want to thank the interview panel, Mark Thews and Brian Stark, amongst many others. Thank you for your professionalism and for your hard questions that you gave me. I want to make sure that I thank the Seattle Seahawks, John Snyder and Mike McDonald, all the players and coaches there. This day doesn't happen without me getting a chance to be a part of that culture and all the things I learned from those men. I want to give a special shout out to Ken Walker, the MVP of the Super Bowl, who I didn't see after the game. So K9, if you're watching, man, way to go. Proud of you, brother. Really proud of you and all your teammates. I'm going to go see those guys tomorrow for the parade and then hurry back here and get to work. But guys, I got all these notes prepared, and I've never been really good at that. The main thing is this is no ordinary job. This is the silver and black. This is the Raiders. This is a historic franchise. So, when the opportunity came up to stay in Seattle and continue there, or to have a chance to come here and compete with this organization, it was a no-brainer. I grew up obviously watching a lot of Broncos football. All right, going against the Raiders twice a year, and the grit of this franchise sticks out. When you hear the autumn wind as a Raider, I can hear that in my mind growing up, watching NFL films and seeing these guys next to me play, seeing Howie Long and Jim Plunkett. It's pretty powerful to be sitting up here with you guys, and I just want you to know that, those values that you guys played with, that's what we're going to play with. It's really important to me that, it's really important to me that we're a gritty team, that the way that they were back in the old days. And how do we do that? Well, it's our silent tape. It's nothing that we say, it's what we do on the field, and it's what the silent tape speaks about our team, how physical we are, our effort, all the little things that win that have nothing to do with scheme. So really excited to get to work with you players, and excited to go turn your tape on, see what you guys are about right now, and then go see how we can get better together. But to be a head coach in the NFL, it is a real blessing. But to be the head coach of the Raiders, it's something that I'm very excited for. When you say commitment to excellence, okay, and you look at the walls around here, you look at the players on this wall, and there's a history of Hall of Fame players here. There's a history of Super Bowls, and that's what the ultimate goal is. But you have to be about the work if you want to get there. And I guarantee you that myself and our staff, we're going to be about the work, and we're going to be very collaborative with the personnel staff, the coaching staff. We're gonna work together so that we're a connected group, because connected teams win. There's plenty of other things to say, guys, but this is not a day to go out and cash checks. This is a day to say hello and get to know everybody. I get to know that these, the players that are here, for me to get to know everybody, because guys, I just got done coaching about 2 days ago. So I got a lot to catch up on, but I'm really thankful for John for letting me come in here and have this opportunity. And I just, I can't tell you guys enough how excited I am and how grateful I am and how blessed I feel to be sitting in this room. So, let's get the questions going. All right.
Great. Now we'll open it up for questions. We have microphones in either aisle, so please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation.
I mean, after that opening statement, sounds sounds quite promising. You know what I mean? He's saying all the right things, right? I mean, that's basically how, that's basically what we want to hear. But I mean, it's we've gone over and over and over again. We always get to hear what we want to hear, but are we seeing it on the field? And that's really going to ultimately be up to this guy. The roster that he has been handed, maybe not the greatest roster. You hearing all the rumors now about Max Crosby wanting out. You know what I'm saying? So that's our best player wanting to leave. If that is ultimately true.
With your question, we'll start with Ryan over here.
Of course, they're going to start with the questions now.
Ryan,
Some of these
yes,
softball
man.
questions.
This question is for Klint. Just could you put into perspective what the past 24 hours or so has been like? That you go from, winning the Super Bowl to now you're here being introduced as the head coach of the Raiders. Just what has these past 24 hours been like for you?
Damn, bro, did it take you all of that Dunkin' Donuts coffee to be able to come up with that question?
It's been a lot of fun. It's been great. The Super Bowl itself, was a 2-week grind to get ready for that game and just pour your heart and soul into that game plan and to see our players go out and have that success. And that's why you do it. That's why you coach. That's why you play. That's to go win a world championship. So that was a complete blessing. And to get on the airplane and come meet everybody in this short period of time, it's exciting. But all these things, all these smiles, eventually that kind of wears away, and then you got to go get to work, and that's what I'm excited about doing, is going to watch some tape and get to know these players better and put together a great coaching staff.
Yeah. And for John, this question for you, John, just like when studying Klint Kubiak, just what about his scheme and how he runs the offense, why do you think that fits what you're trying to do moving forward for this organization?
Well, I think Clint said it well. It's less about scheme and more about the person. We were very thoughtful about how we approached this and the kind of coach and man that we were looking for to lead this organization on a day-to-day basis. I mean, he talks to the players every day. The players are our most important part of this organization right now. And when we got to speak with him the first time on Zoom, when he was trying to prepare for the 49ers, and then again in Seattle when he was trying to prepare for the Super Bowl. He just was the right person. And the fact that he can score a lot of points is awesome too. But we were more focused on the person, the humility, the work ethic, those traits above scheme.
See, and that's what I like about Spytek, dude. Spytek, at least, he's got a great delivery. He's well-spoken, knows how to speak, knows exactly what we want to hear, and delivers it effectively. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. You know what I mean? Somebody that they know they can build with. Like that's what I want to hear. It's not about whatever scheme it is this a player's coach or not? You know what I'm saying?
Klint, Hondo Carpenter on his side right here. You didn't have to come here. Seattle wanted you to stay. Other teams wanted you. So what did ownership and John say to you that convinced you were the guy to bring back the excellence these 6 men represent?
Yeah, I think over 2 separate interviews, I just got very comfortable with John and Mr. Davis and the ownership structure. And it's really they didn't have to say much. This is the Raiders. This is one of the most historic, franchises in the NFL with a great history that I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of furthering that history. I think the Raiders really sold itself, but having those 2 different interviews and getting more comfortable with the men in the room went a long way.
Hey, Klint. Obviously, John pointed out that you guys have the first pick overall in the NFL draft. And I know it's still relatively early in that process, but what are your thoughts on Fernando Mendoza how big did that play into this decision for you?
Well, I think just the resources that the Raiders have, this building, obviously having cap space, having the first pick, those all go into the decision. And as far as who the first pick is going to be, we got a lot of tape to watch before we determine who that's going to be. But I'm excited to get into that process. But yeah, kind of going back to the last two questions, there's just a lot to love about this organization. Look around this building and the resources that we have, our meal room, the weight room, the fields outside, the coaches' offices. I mean, it's as good as it gets in the NFL. And I've been in a lot of buildings for good reasons and bad reasons, been hired and fired. And the resources are here. We just got to go put it all together.
See, that was a good answer to that question, too. Like, he seems real confident in what he's talking about, and I've always been more, I can relate more to a player's coach than just straight up scheme.
Clint, to your right here. Willie Ramirez with the Sporting Tribune. You spoke about what the Raiders said to you to bring you here, but you'll be the sixth coach since they've arrived in Vegas. You look at the looks on these Raider greats, look on their faces, the demeanor and the meaning of this organization. Why are you the right guy to sustain and stay here, being the sixth coach since, again, that they've arrived in Las Vegas?
Yeah. Well, I think, earning the trust of the building is a daily process. All right, so that's something that I've always been about, and I love earning people's trust, and I got to earn these guys' trust. It's not just going to happen to me sitting up at a podium. So that's something that's a process. That's a process, and that's a great challenge. Yeah, there have been plenty of other coaches, but why not us? Why not this staff? Why not this group of players? So if you look at it in the lens of, there's a history of some, guys that are in and out of here pretty quick. I look at it as, what a great challenge. Like that's what the NFL is all about, is competing. So I'd love to go compete here and go get it done. It's going to be a process, and but we're gonna be about the work, like I said. So it's a very exciting opportunity.
Great answer. Great fucking answer. Great fucking
Clint,
answer.
Levi Edwards, Raiders.com. A couple of days ago, you made history with you and your father being the first father-son duo to win the Super Bowl as coaches. So now you're the head coach, and obviously he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. What are some values and things that he instilled in you as a coach and as a man that you feel are going to prepare you for this position?
That's really cool. I don't know, is that a real stat? Is that a real deal? I never heard that one. Because 10 years ago, I was at that game watching him win it all. I was coaching at the University of Kansas, and I got to see the smile on his face after the game, give my mom a hug, and give his mom a hug who had recently passed, and just to share that moment with him is something I know I'll never forget. And then to see him after the game on the same field and just see the smile on his face was a great memory. And as far as the lessons learned, the thing about my dad is that when I was growing up, he never made it about sports or football. He always talked about everything other than that. About being a good person, about being respectful. He showed me what it means to be a great husband and a great father. So those are the things that I want to emulate with him. Football will take care of itself, but the family values is what my dad is all about, and him and my mom. That's what I'm grateful for.
Clint, to your right over here. Jesse Merrick with Silver and Black Sports Network. Kind of along that same lines, I know you joined Mike up there in Seattle in his second season, but that was a guy that came into a new role for the first time as the head coach. What are some of the things that you took away from him about what it takes to build a franchise that you think can help you here?
Well, number one is that he's just himself. Doesn't try to be like anybody else. Didn't try to be like Jim Harbaugh. He was Mike McDonald, and he was very convicted, and we all could feel that from him, and wanted to follow his lead. I also saw him be so collaborative with the building, and how closely he worked with the general manager and the owner, and just how clear the communication was. We were all on the same page. He had a vision, and he was the same guy from April to February, and that's something that I'll definitely take with me.
Now, just in case if you saw that sigh is not from his answer. The sigh is, I don't want this video to be more about the heckling of the Las Vegas Raiders beat writers, who happen to be the only motherfuckers in the room, by the way, if you look out in the crowd besides Homeboy's family. But the softball questions, and not only the softball questions, but literally, homeboy repeated the same question that old buddy with the Raiders logo right here on his fucking black shirt just asked. Come on, Raiders. You guys can hire somebody better to be able to do these jobs and ask better questions. I mean, shit.
Hey, Clint. Paul Gutierrez here from Raiders.com. You got the 3 Super Bowl trophies of the franchise in front of you. You got Hall of Famers. You've got MVPs. You got Super Bowl MVPs surrounding you. How daunting or how welcoming is it to be in this situation you're in right now with all of these things surrounding you and with that standard set?
No, it's not daunting at all. It's a blessing. That's what you want to be. That's what I want our players to want to achieve. I want them to see these guys, be surrounded by these guys, because that's what their goals should be. Okay? Win Super Bowls. You know, the MVPs and Hall of Fame, that takes care of itself when the team wins. So that's what we're going to be about, winning.
Clint, in talking to players that you've coached, men of faith and not, you referenced God when you opened. They talked about your faith as part of the bedrock of how you coach and why that they felt you were trustworthy. Could you let us in on that, on how your faith impacts you as a coach, please?
Yeah, it's very, very simple. You know, for me is that my identity, I see my identity as a child of God. I know that I'm sitting here, right here, because of Jesus Christ. And it wasn't always that way. I've had some great mentors that helped me know the Gospels better. And I just, my goal is to, you know, to live out the 10 Commandments and the Beatitudes and let those values show through in my coaching. And I fall short of that a lot, but I always go back to my, you know, back to the, you know, the building blocks, which is, to me, the Bible.
Look, not to take away anything of what he said. Bravo, however you want to put it. But the question, why is it relevant? Hondo Carpenter, next time you have a thought, please just fucking let it go.
Kirk Morrison here, former player, Silver and Black Productions. For you, Clint, you've been around some of the great defensive minds in the NFL, whether it's Mike Zimmer, Dennis Allen, obviously Mike McDonald, head coach in Seattle. What do you envision the defensive coordinator looks like for this football team, and how's that process going to play out?
Yeah, I'm in the weeds of it right now,
A good
man.
question.
So, you know,
A good question. There you go.
Identifying candidates and going to be contacting guys and bringing them in. But I think whoever that coach is, it'll be really important that, you know, we establish a style of play, you know, a physical style of play. And that's offense and defense. So I'm just way more worried about how our guys play than opposed to the X's and O's of it all. You know, that's part of our job as coaches, is to scheme guys and help them be put in the best positions. But I want to make sure that we have a DC that is that's coaching effort first and technique, and, you know, a guy that's going to, you know, rip into somebody if they're not finishing in practice, because that's what helps you win. You know, in February, it's not the X's and O's. They got 17 games of tape on you. It's about how hard your guys play.
Taylor Rocha, KTNV. How do you balance the will to win with the rebuild and player development?
Another good question.
You know, whether you're, you know, whether it's a rebuild, whether you're on a returning roster with Super Bowl aspirations, to me, the work doesn't change. Preparation doesn't change. Every team next year is going to start off undefeated at 0-0. So to me, it doesn't change much. You know, obviously it's what you identify your team needs in the offseason, player acquisition wise, and then once April 15th starts, you know, we're all on the same plane.
Hi, Clint. Heidi Fang, Las Vegas Review-Journal. I've seen your work at Christian McCaffrey as well as Alvin Kamara, and I'm wondering what excites you about working with a player like Ashton Genty and helping to build his future.
Yeah, where you at, Ashton? What's up, dude? You know, man. Very excited about his skill set and what he brings. You know, I got a lot of tape to catch up on, dude, but I saw you play a lot of snaps at Boise. Very excited about his talent, but the thing I would tell him and all his teammates is that it's not just about one guy. We got to get the line on the same page. We got to get our quarterback to get the right run checks. We got to get our receivers to go block for them, all right, so that we can get get the play action going. But as soon as our players can realize, that it's a team thing, it's not an individual thing, we're going to be successful. I know we have those type of guys in our building right now.
That's what's up.
Harry Ruiz with the Spanish radio broadcast for the team. When you look at Brock Bowers, what's the first thing that comes into mind as being an offensive coordinator from the Super Bowl champs and now wanting to use him the best way possible?
Yeah, where's Brock at? Yeah, I saw him earlier. Brock's already put it on tape, from Georgia to his first couple of years here in the league. He can be one of the best receivers in the NFL, not just receiving tight ends. So looking forward to working with him and continue to build on his skill set. Really impressive player.
You've been with your...
I'm telling you, these questions that these guys are asking are just some of the worst questions ever. Some of them are good. Most of them have been bad. But all in all, dude has had a very, very good response for every single one. I mean, sometimes I feel kind of just like, how do you respond to some of these questions? Some of these questions are just, ideally, they're no-brainers. It's common sense. But I guess since common sense has become rare sense nowadays, I guess that's why they have to ask these questions.
Dad on the opposite side in the division. Now, what would you want to say to Raider Nation now that they're all on your side? They're all excited to have you in the building wearing silver and black.
Yeah, I'll just tell Raider Nation that, hey, like I said earlier, we have to earn your trust. We gotta earn those seats in the stands by putting a great product on the field. And words will not do it. It's our actions.
Goddamn right.
Hi, Coach Alex Belcastro, Deuce 3. I have to go back to your opening statement where you said your journey has taken you exactly where you're meant to be. Because after being a grad assistant, you worked in the oil industry for a few weeks before you got that call that you never expected. So if you could go back and tell that kid that you were going to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders one day, what do you think you would say?
Yeah, that's what's just so cool about today. There was a path that was set out in front of me that I didn't realize I was heading to. But I knew that when you're where your feet are every day, you're trying to bloom where planted. You're trying to be the best at your job, and good things tend to happen. So that's kind of been my journey, is just to try to be the best at my job that day. And then, then you get a chance to, you get promoted with more tasks. You get to draw the pass pictures. All right, now you did an okay job of that. You get to break down the tape. All right, we'll let you talk to the fourth string quarterback today. All right, you did a good enough job there. All right, we'll let you lead a meeting, and you just keep, trying to do the best where you're at, and let the rest, take care of itself.
You've imagined this role for a few weeks now, but yesterday you stepped in the building for the first time. And as head coach, what can you see from the inside that you can't see from the outside? What did you feel?
Yeah, I've been here before. I came here. We practiced against the Niners a few years ago. We saw the the structure here and what this all the resources that are in this building. Mr. Davis has set us up to have success there. Now it's about us, going and lifting all those weights, and using that field, and using those meeting rooms, because everybody's got players, everybody's got resources, and now it's about finding those edges and seeing how we can bring our team together, be connected to go produce a winner.
Klint again, Willie Ramirez with the Sporting Tribune. Obviously, Mike knew you had a couple of interviews leading up to the Super Bowl, but in these last 48 hours, has there been a conversation, some special moment, and if you wouldn't mind, the words or the sentiments that were shared in terms of his well wishes for you?
Whose well wishes? Who's that?
Mike.
Coach
yeah,
Mike?
Yeah.
Yes. Mike he's been really supportive of, I can't thank him enough for really everything that he just showed me of how to be a head coach. Mike made my life really hard, and I appreciate that. He challenged us every week as a coaching staff. I thought we had a good game, and on Monday, I hated having to look at him in the eye because I knew all the hard questions were coming. But I really appreciated that about him because he brought the best out of us. Mike's been great the entire time, been a great mentor, and Your first question, could you repeat that one?
Just if you don't mind sharing the words or sentiments that he may have shared with you these last 24, 48 hours in terms of if there were any well wishes or
Who fucking cares?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact words, but before every game, Mike, gives me a bro hug and said, "Turn it loose." So that's probably what he said.
Coach Alex Eshelman with KTNV over here. Congratulations. I'm kind of going off of Alex's question about the oil fields company. You mentioned that what brought you back into coaching when you were telling that story was you got a call from a player, and that was kind of the moment that solidified to you that you wanted to become a coach. Along with that, I loved the story about you gifting your players Bibles. Just describe how rewarding it is to you to develop players, and where do you get that passion from?
Yeah. The whole oil field story, I probably getting it overblown because I want my old boss to know, like, I still appreciate the job he let me have. I feel like they're getting raw into the deal here. But long story short is I was a GA for 3 seasons, and you're trying to make what's your next move going to be. You got to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And I was married with Tessa. We didn't have any kids yet, and I just kind of felt like I was letting the family down. I wouldn't make any money, and so I wanted to go try something new. Anyway, I was at that job for a few weeks, and just quickly realized how much I missed being a part of a team. And the reason that I love to coach is to see players get better and see them have success. You get to work with the best athletes in the world, and to be able to help them get better and help them, realize their goals. That's why you do it. To sit on that field a couple of days ago, in Santa Clara, and being around guys that we've been coaching since April, and just to see the joy on their face. That's why you coach. So relationships are really important in any business, but especially in football. You kind of, when you're in the fire with somebody every day and there's so much adversity, those bonds get so much tighter. And everyone up here knows what that's like. And you don't realize that until you're on a team that doesn't win as much. When you're coaching guys and you win 5 games, but on the last game of the year, you're not going to the playoffs, but those guys are fighting their tail off for you, and you're trying to go knock out Tampa Bay out of the playoffs a couple of years ago with the Saints. We didn't get it done, but that's what it's all about, is trying to help people get better.
And see, thank you for a great answer to a question that was more personal than it was about football, and how he flipped that around and turned it around to make it more about football, even though he said, for what he said, I actually really like the way he diverted that question.
Coach Chris Matthews with the CBS affiliate here in town. Just kind of wondering, as a new head coach, and the Raiders having the #1 pick in that draft upcoming here, and the speculation is it'll be Fernando Mendoza as a quarterback. Just your thoughts on the #1 pick, the new head coach, the opportunity, Mendoza, just your thoughts on that whole thing and the player that he is, and I guess speculation a little bit.
What an opportunity, to get to go study this draft, and we'll come to that conclusion here soon enough. There's a lot of work to be done before then, but it's just it's an opportunity to make the roster better. Not only do you have the first overall pick, but you're picking early in all the other rounds too. So looking forward to attacking that process with John and our the scouting department and the coaches working really closely together.
Coach Alan Snell, LVSportsBiz.com. What are your key factors for instilling some stability at the coaching ranks here in Vegas for a franchise that's gone through so many coaches here?
Yeah, well, to me, it's what happens, years in advance is something I'm not thinking about right now. We're trying to put together a great staff of teachers, and we got to get some really good teachers here and coaches, and get us all on the same page and get our players going in the same direction. That communication is really important. I think if we can put put together a great staff here, and get our players up to date on these playbooks and the things we expect of them, and then let the results speak for themselves after that. But in the NFL, you have to earn. I mean, you have to earn the second game. You know, like this league, if you don't take care of business, then you get chewed up and spit out real quick. And every one of us up here has been through that. So I'm going to have to earn the right to coach this whole season, to coach the next season. I got to show Mr. Davis that our program is about the right things, and we're developing these players. So I don't take for granted how long I'm going to be here. I know that I have to earn it every day.
Clint, Zeke Trezevan, Sports Illustrated, right here down the middle on SI. I was curious, did you come with the list in terms of building out your coaching staff, a list of offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, other assistants, and how closely do you plan on working with Mr. Spytek in terms of building out your staff specifically?
Yes, definitely have a list of candidates that we're going through right now, and we're going to be working hand in hand on coaches, on the roster, everything. That's part of us being successful is us working together.
I guess we're going to wrap it up with Case, Q, and then Callie.
Hi, Coach. Case Kiefer, Las Vegas Sun. You thanked a lot of the search committee and talked about John and Mark Davis, but we heard some reports that you were kind of kindred football spirits with another person in that process, Tom Brady. I'm wondering, assuming that's true, what is it about the game that you guys see similarly, and how will you lean on him during the season?
Yeah, I'm really excited to work with Tom, and he made the mistake of giving me his cell phone number, so he might wish he never did that, because I'm gonna be calling him a lot. What I'm excited about is that we have different offensive backgrounds, how we're gonna, how we can pull ideas from each other. But obviously he's the greatest that's ever done it. And in the interview process, just the passion that he spoke with on all things football just got me excited about the opportunity to work with him. I know, plenty's been said and speculated about, how that relationship's going to go, and that's one of the main draws to come here, is to get to work with him, to get to work with Spy. These are great football minds and if we collaborate the way we're supposed to, then we're going to pull the best out of each other.
And you've mentioned you've already gotten to talk to some players. I was wondering if you've spoken to Max Crosby, and is he a guy you could see anchoring your defense here for years to come?
I did. I got to drink a cup of coffee with Max this morning. Love talking ball with him, and look forward to continuing those conversations. I think he was the first one in here this morning working out, so that fired me up.
Q Myers, Raider Nation Radio 920. Expanding on the Max Crosby conversation, how important is it for him when you talk about silent film and you're talking about finishing in practice and all that grit? How important is it for him to be buy in with you immediately to kind of set the tone in the locker room?
Yeah, we want him to be a part of our success going forward. There's no doubt about that. And he's one of the best players in the NFL. So that's a no-brainer to get to work with Max and to see him continue to have success with this organization.
Callie Finn with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Just wanted to ask if it's safe to assume that you'll continue with the play calling and how you manage to balance play calling duties with everything that comes with being a head coach.
Yeah, I do, but I hope you guys know I've never called a game by myself. That's something we do as a coaching staff together. We plan together, we communicate on game day together. Quarterback coach, pass game coordinator, run game coordinator. That is a group effort. So I plan on continuing to collaborate with our coaches and making everybody a part of the game planning process. Whoever sends it into the QB and it says wristband 13. I think anybody can do that, but it's it's us, how we communicate on game day will be really important. What was the second part of your question?
I think you touched on it, just how you can balance that with everything that comes with being a head coach.
Yeah, well, it's yet to be seen. There's going to be some learning there, but I'm really confident in the staff that we're going to put together, and I'm gonna need some tough love from Spy to give me some good feedback on what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. Have a really good game management plan, and make sure we have those meetings throughout the week so that things don't surprise us on Sunday.
Question. Mike McDonald, I think, surprised a lot of people when he said a good day is getting home 30 minutes before his son goes to sleep. I'm wondering, your kids are here. How do you approach that work-life balance with your family and now this really big job?
Yeah. Well, I would say that that's an area that I got to get a lot better at. I got to get a lot better at. So, my family is the most important thing in my life, and see them sitting here right now in Raiders shirts, it's a great feeling. Really thankful for my wife for getting everybody here. You guys are missing school today, so. But that's the hard part of this job, is that work-life balance that I'm still working on getting better at.
All right, thank you, everyone. That concludes our press conference.
All right, thanks.
We're going to stop it there. I would say it's promising. It's everything we want to hear, right? He's got all the right answers. And honestly, I want to believe in him. I really do. I want to believe in the guy. He's got a lot. I like his mannerisms. And Raider Nation, I think this was a real good hire. Everybody knows why I wanted him. It's only obvious why I wanted him. When Tomlin got his, when he pulled his number from the hat, man, and said that he wasn't going to coach this year, Kubiak to me was a no-brainer, bro. Like, I think because we knew we didn't have a big play for a Harbaugh, and we just got rid of Pete Carroll, Tomlin was off the table. Who was that? Stefanski was already hired. I mean, at least we went through the right processes before we hired our coach, and I don't think we waited too long to do it. I think this was probably the best hire that we were going to get. Now, am I right? Am I wrong? We won't know until the end of the season. We won't know. He talks a good game, but now we need to see it in the coaching staff, who he's going to bring in. Are they going to get the best out of the players that we already have? Are we going to be able to cut the dead weight that makes this team worse? And be able to, and hopefully with him and his coaching staff, can come back and build this team to be better. Is there a grade that I'm giving? No, not at all. Not going to give a grade at all, because how am I supposed to give a grade in between A through F before I can ever even see a product on the field?